All right, welcome back, everyone. So this is part two then of our introductory lecture one series. So I just wanted to make a quick note about the Connect tutorial video, which I sent out in the first announcement, the welcome announcement, and then I'm also linking it in the homework that you have for these little videos. And I just wanted to make sure that we understand that we're not going to be using Zoom for this class. A little like the last minute or so of that Connect tutorial video has some stuff about Zoom. So I just want to make sure that we understand that we're not going to be using Zoom unless something happens where I have to teach from home for whatever reason. But for the most part, we're not going to use Zoom in this class. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. Anyways, on to part two. So what I hope to accomplish in this video is to give you a little introduction about myself, and then also to give some course expectations, just kind of like an overall sort of overview here. So I do also want to point out, which I don't think I pointed out in the first video, is, if I'm going too fast, you have the capabilities of pushing pause or even speeding up or slowing down the video. I do happen to talk really fast. So if I'm going too fast, you can slow down the video or you can speed it up, or again, just click pause if you need to take a quick pause. Okay, so back to it. So just to give you a little information about myself. So I was born and raised in a very small town in Iowa, which is this lovely little red state here. Literally a red state as well, or kind of purple now, I guess. But but I mean small town, I mean less than 1,200 people, with a racial makeup of 99.13% white. So came from a very small town, white area. And then I moved to the East Bay, if you're familiar with where like Walnut Creek is. Danville is just south of Walnut Creek, so it was a very huge culture shock. Even though Danville is pretty well on the white side as well, it's definitely not where I grew up by any stretch of the imagination. So because I grew up in a place where the weather is actually fun, we actually get like severe thunderstorms and tornadoes and hail and all that stuff. I was exposed to stuff like that at a younger age. So it always gave me this fascination of weather. Also, my dad and three of my brothers and my stepbrother have their pilot's license. And so it's something that I've always kind of been kind of around. So I went to college at San Francisco State University, and I graduated in 2014 from the Department of Earth and Climate Sciences and Atmospheric and Oceanic Science with an emphasis in meteorology. So something that I just want to point out in terms of any sort of earth science department, notice how few people there are here. These weren't just my only friends. This was my department. This was the graduating size of my department. So we're very small, we're very niche. So if you find yourself really enjoying earth science and you want to dive deeper into this realm, and you want to be seen by your professors and heard by your advisors and really create this lovely tight-knit group of people that work together really nicely, then I would suggest jumping into earth sciences. Just a little shameless plug there. And I really loved the people that became my friends through this department. So I highly recommend coming over to the dark side if you do indeed decide that you have a love and passion for the earth. And then just a couple more things about me. Whoever said science isn't fun is a total liar. So when I was given the opportunity to jump into a research project, simply by the guy that this gentleman here, Dr. Andrew Oliphant, he gave on his first day of class, he kind of gave his little introductory stuff. It's very similar to what I'm doing now. And he talked about a project that he was working on getting funding for, where there's no city and then a city and no city again. And that place is Black Rock City, Nevada, which is where they happen to hold Burning Man. So we were able to get funding from the National Science Foundation to conduct several different experiments in 2013. So one part of the experiment was we erected a 100-foot tower within the city, a smaller 9-foot tower outside of the city, and then I rigged up this bike here, which you can see in the bottom left corner. This pole here was rigged up with several thermometers, and as I rode through the city on that bike, I was able to get a vertical temperature profile of the air temperature, which was really, really quite fascinating. And so I was able to write a whole thesis on this. Our findings are published, and we hope to actually go back this year in 2013 or 2023 and do a follow-up experiment, which would be really, really freaking awesome. So probably like many of you all, when I was in college, I was going to school full-time, plus working full-time, plus I had internships, and I was commuting, yada, yada, yada. Needless to say, by the time I finally graduated, I was freaking exhausted. So I made a vow to myself that I was going to take a break, take some time off, and I was going to go travel, and that is precisely what I did. So, I took 2 years off in total from between my undergraduate and grad school career to travel the world. I started in Australia and New Zealand for 3 months, living in a camper van with one of my good girlfriends. And then after New Zealand, she went back to Australia and I went to Southeast Asia for the remainder of the 3 months. Southeast Asia absolutely won my heart. As you can see from my second stint of traveling, we went back. It's rather cheap, but the food is lovely. The people are incredible. The scenery is just out of this world, and it really gave me an appreciation for where we live here. And I will say this a million times probably this semester, but travel. Get the hell out of here. Get out of California. If you've never been out of California before, get out of the country. If you've never been out of the country before, get your passport. I have to renew my passport. Just get out of here, because traveling is going to teach you more about yourself and more about the world than anything else, than any news headline, than any article, than any video. Getting out there and doing it yourself is paramount to growing as a human being. And so I very much encourage you to travel as much and as far as possible. So I just want to share some pictures from some of my travels because hopefully it will inspire you to get out of here. We have some Australia here and some New Zealand. There's certainly a reason why Lord of the Rings was filmed in person in New Zealand. Just absolutely freaking took my breath away. And I have so many more pictures other than this as well, but these were just some of my favorites. Did bungee jumping at the Nevis Bungee, which is the second tallest bungee in the southern hemisphere. This was the first tropical island other than Hawaii that I was on, this Koh Tao, Thailand, and just a bunch of really, really awesome things here. The very first tornado I ever saw was in the country of Myanmar, of all places, which was a really, really wild experience. Myanmar and Cambodia. Cambodia has Angkor Wat. Myanmar has Bagan, basically these really beautiful cities that were built up in the 12th and 13th centuries of basically these emperors, for lack of a better word, had a pissing match on who can build the most and the tallest and biggest stupas, pagodas, and temples. And so now we are left with these beautiful cities of Bagan and Angkor Wat. And when I say that these places are cheap, I mean it. So this place here, this was at our rooftop terrace in Bali. This location here, I believe, was about $8 a night for a rooftop, open air, huge, I think it was an Airbnb at the time. And just also a quick little note, we did go to an elephant sanctuary. It was incredible. It was so cool, so fun. But we did do our research beforehand because you don't want to go to any sort of sanctuary that has that where you can ride the animal. If you can ride the animal, they're abusing the animal. So it's never really a good thing to go into that stuff. And I have so much more about this that I could go into, but that would take up way too much time. If you have any questions on traveling or anything like that, please do let me know. I'm happy to answer any and all of the questions that you have. So after I came back, it actually turns out when we were in Myanmar, I also checked my junk email, and that's where my University of Arizona acceptance letter happened to be. So always check your junk email, my friends. You might find something in there that is rather important. But anyway, after we came back from that, moved to Tucson, Arizona, where I worked on my master's degree in atmospheric sciences, where I finished in the August of 2018. My focus there was on tropical meteorology, so spending a lot of time in Southeast Asia, spending time in tropics. It really grew my love for tropical meteorology. But I also did have a huge focus on hurricanes, which I think are very fascinating forces of nature. But I've also studied impacts here on the West Coast, mainly atmospheric rivers. And if you've been around California in the past several weeks, then you know that we just got inundated with like 5 or 6 atmospheric rivers. And it was a very crazy couple weeks. And at the time when I was in grad school, it was my dream to be a scientist on the Hurricane Hunter one day. That dream didn't work out at the moment anyway. And dreams change, right? So teaching kind of fell into my lap, and I really have quite fallen in love with it. And so I'm looking into PhD programs so I can be a full-time professor, so that I don't always have to work 7 jobs to just get by here in the Bay Area. Last little bit about me is that I teach all over the place. I teach an introductory to weather class and an introductory to oceanography class, both at San Francisco State. I also teach for all 3 campuses this semester of Ocean 100 and Ocean 101. And then hopefully, as long as enough students sign up, then I will also be teaching a climate change class at City College of San Francisco. And if all of that wasn't enough, I do still stick around the bar industry. I've worked there for a long time. I've been a patron there for a long time, and it's kind of just my funsies job on Saturday daytimes. So that's usually what my early weekends consist of, is mixing drinks and cleaning a bar that no one else cleans during the week. If anyone in the service industry can empathize with that. Some other things that I really, really love to do, which you'll learn throughout the semester, is I really, really love to cook and I love to bake. They're much like science, which is really, really awesome. And a lot of things for me revolve around food, whether or not it's making food or eating food or going out to get food or experiencing food. To me, food is a universal language. You don't have to speak another person's language in order to communicate with them via food. And that is something that's really, really important to me. And then even when we get into talking about climate change, you'll notice a lot of things really revolve around food for me. And I'm also a bit of a gym rat, and I love doing yoga. And at the current time, I live in San Francisco with my partner and our 3 cats, who are named Microphone, Pony, and Nubbins. I'm honestly surprised that they haven't made an appearance in this video quite yet. I'm sure they will at some point. So thank you so much for sticking through the video of getting to know me a little bit more. I can't wait to get to know you all a little bit more throughout our time together. So thanks for watching.